Hello everyone. Today I'm here to present you my work on Middle-earth once more. This will be the first video concerning the different civilizations and how I developed some costumes for them, weaponry, and how all this could articulate in Middle-earth. And I base my ideas mostly on the book, but of course I will have influences from the movies as well, and I won't deny this at all. So, as you saw, this is for the Dunlending, the people that are harassing the villages in Rohan. So these guys, we have very few informations for them in the book, and it didn't appear much in the lore so far. So it's a bit of imagination based on what I have as information on the book and what we have as information concerning the royarims themselves. So I'll start with the garment, very base, then also I will see for the armor if it is possible for them to have some, and then I'll see what could be the weaponry, both defensive and offensive. What I wear is an example of what could, according to my vision, be a Dulending. You have everything which have been made out of wool, except for the undergarment there, but everything is wool, from the trouser, tunic there, the hood, and the wrapping there. Well, wool, simply because you can produce wool only by using the cattle. You don't have the need for the structure that you will require for create a linen garment and so on. So I would expect that as they are somewhere described as tribemans living in the Royarim mountains, in the Rohan mountains, those guys would need something warm. So wool is a perfect material, and not only wool will be interesting for that, and also, as I said, easy, warm. And when you don't have all the space to create that much agriculture, perhaps yes, you will have mostly woolen garments from the Dulending, and some of the garment they will have also could come from pillaging the royarims and taking the clothes. Why not? After all, as they are somewhat represented that way. For the colors, concerning the colors, you see this is mostly brown, darkish. There is a bit of yellow somewhere in this, but this is all something easy to obtain with natural dye, or even just by using the natural color of the wool. You could have black sheeps, brown sheeps, and also white sheeps. Well, all this is perfectly, according once again to my vision, it's perfectly suitable for guys which wouldn't have all the structure that you can have in a more developed society which can flourish. And for my trouser, for starters, here it's based on a Torsberg trouser, and look like this, very simple in its shape. You have one leg, another leg, you have something like a triangle coming from the butt, of course, which is the largest part, and coming back there, up here to the waist. And this requires very few fabric. You don't have so much losses of fabric, which is important as well when you don't have a lot of resources. You don't try to do fancy cuts and something really fitting. No, you prefer to go for something more simple. This is why I base this on what I made for my cult garments when I was working in Alesia. You could use also wrapping made out of wool, like this. I didn't use wrapping there because I prefer to present with some sort of boots there. Very simple also in the shape, in the construction, but efficient. And instead of having boots, or beneath the boots, you could wrap your leg in this, which is very interesting if you have to walk, to stand for a long time. It helps for the blood flow, and also it's something that will help to keep you warm as well. So wrapping like this for the legs could be a good option, like we see at the very beginning of the Middle Ages. And the same here, I choose to do the same here on my forearms, which provide also a bit of padding as well, if you start to consider a bit the defensive property that you could find in this. For the shoes, the design I chose was based on the Viking shoes. See, pretty simple, and it's somewhat built up like some antiquity shoes as well. When you have the stitching here, right in the middle, that's something you can find in many different type of footwear where you are looking for antiquity shoes. And you have just the knot here on the sides to close your shoes. It's pretty simple, still efficient, and this is simple ankle shoes, and you have the possibility to have boots like this. Concerning the tunics, it's really simple also in its design. It's what you could find at the very early Middle Ages, and also in antiquity. It's a simple T shape like this. Well, I present you another possibility. You see, when I told you about the colors, it's not that fancy, and this one is very rugged, very old looking, with a bit of holes here and there, but that could be fitting. That could be very fitting, especially if you patch it. If you patch it, yes, it simply can endure several years more of use. And the reason why I show you here a plain color is to contrast with the checked pattern that I have on myself. Perhaps it's not clear, but this is a checked pattern, and I do believe that, yeah, why not give a bit of a character? That fanciness could come, perhaps, yeah, from that, but I wouldn't go too far about it. Perhaps just for, yes, for the one who have the coins, who have the resources for that. So I'm not sure yet about this idea, if it's a good idea or not, but it could be some way to distinguish this civilization. So for the accessories, well, I do believe that fur could be a good addition to the garments and to what you could wear as a Dulending. I know it looks a bit like too easy, perhaps. Yes, it's fantasy, you want to give it a barbarian look, and you just add some fur. Well, yeah, I say why not here, because once again it's simple. When you just have to hunt an animal, perhaps just to kill one of your sheep, yeah, that could make sense. Or perhaps even better, kill the rarium sheep and take back their fur and everything else. So yeah, why not use a bit of fur like this, perhaps to cover yourself, to lean also your clothes. You can use fur like this to lean perhaps a hood, yeah, keep you warm. Why not? So it's an idea. It's just an idea, and perhaps I'll decline it in several ways. But I already have something to show you, and the first accessories that I can produce here to present fur, except from its raw use, is as a hat, a simple hat like this. Well, when you are living in the mountain, when you are in a harsh environment, you want to keep you warm, and cover your head is probably one of the best options for that. And a fur hat, yes, that can definitely be a good option. So I think that will be part of the garment as well. And when you want to keep you warm, again, why not create gloves? So I do believe that, yes, they could wear gloves. Also, it will prevent your hand from injuries when you have to raid some villages. And anyways, gloves, yes, that could be a good option as well. That's why I do believe they will probably make gloves. And why not, as you are in the mountain, create simple scarves made out of wool, again, like this. Simple scarf to cover your neck, again, to keep you warm. And it's simple, it's just like the same principle that I mentioned before about wrapping your legs, wrapping your forearm. All this could be used again and be quite effective for the purpose they will have. And as I say, yes, you have possibility to have a hood. For the design of everything is quite simple. You can perhaps see that everything is based on the antiquity or the very beginning of the medieval ages. So this is what I see so far for the garment. Now let's talk a bit about the armors. Well, as you saw before, I do insist that they will wrap themselves into several layers of wool in order to keep them from the cold. But that could also be useful in order to create some padding. So you could pad yourself with several layers of tunics, for example, simply by adding wool over wool over wool. Well, you create some sort of gambazon so far, you see. So yes, I do believe that's one way to protect yourself, not only from the cold, but also from the different injuries that you could encounter. And when they create armors, I do believe that it will be mostly made out of leather, like I have here. See, well, simple vein braces, very easy to do. It's basically the same thing here on the chin. That could also provide protection. And if they do something else for the body, I do believe that you will find something with little pieces of leather, like this lamellar part there. I would imagine then that this kind of armor could be put basically everywhere on the body, like for the torso, the back, for the legs, also on the side for the shoulders. This could be very, very effective and would be easy to produce as well, which once more makes sense according to that civilization. I don't believe that they will have a lot of steel product for the armor, simply because it will cost a lot, and if only they have, it's by pillaging, once more, by pillaging the royal realms. And one of the reasons is simply that we know in Tolkien's book that some of the armor made for the royal realm are made in Gondor. The Rohan itself is not producing all the metal armor that could be used by the Rohirrim. They have to import it from Gondor, which provide us with information concerning the economy on this area. And I don't believe that the Dulending would have the resources to produce their own chainmail or anything like that, helmets as well. Everything concerning that matter, helmets, swords, even swords, would have been to be taken from the Rohirrims and not made by themselves. Concerning their shields, which of course would be a big part of their equipment, because when you don't have a lot of armor, well, you have shields for sure. That's just a thing that you will imagine, especially when once again you have a universe like the fantasy universe of Middle-earth that is based on European civilization and mythology. Well, in Europe we love shields. So this is why I decided to show you there a tag that I made for my Jacobite costume. And of course I don't imagine exactly the same for the Dunlending, but a round shield, a flat shield like this with straps at the back will be probably what I imagine for them, because well, it's not a lot of resources to produce this, and perhaps yes, we'll have some nails around it, perhaps made out of brass. Yes, not exactly of this shape because it's quite modern, to be honest, and why not have something like that? Perhaps larger, perhaps shorter, but well, actually shorter no. I don't imagine much shorter. So yeah, something like that, flat, round, with straps at the back. That could be a good option for them. Once again, to give something relevant to the civilization. And you want to know simply why I do think about something like that with straps is simply because the umbo, the central part that you could find on Viking shields and Celt and German shields and many shields, well, that require once more iron or brass, and I do believe that as it's something that you will not find that easily, you could have some shield with that. I will present one, but I do think that shields will be mixed between this type there, and the more Viking-like, you know. Here you have another good option, as I presented before, the Viking type of shield, which have the umbo in the middle. This one is made out of iron, and you have also a central grip at the back. So yes, that could be a good option for Dunlending, especially if you want to go for large shield. I do love the idea. You see how much it covers me without even trying. And this design have colors that could also match the Dunlending. Once again, it's personal interpretation. I'm not the only one having those ideas, and it's actually a friend that painted it, and I love the design, and the colors as well are really something that could match for them. So I haven't changed much of it, just changed the umbo, in fact, because his was really shiny and neat, and this one is much darker, and well, this would be something more suitable according once again to my idea of this civilization. And this shield will have of course a different use and will be more mobile, but it also requires more strength in the arm. So it will depend mostly on the fact that perhaps the guys which will use this kind of shields have perhaps more training than the one using round shield with straps at the back, because the strap will simply make it simple to use And we see this also in Middle Ages. You have a round shield with straps that are used for peasants dueling with maces. They train with mace and round shield with straps. So yeah, I do believe that it will be something more common to have round shield with strap than this one. This one will be perhaps for chieftain, someone which is a tribal ruler, something like that. Someone which will have more time to train. For close quarter, of course, you will use axes. Simply axes because it's much easier to produce an axe than sword. And for the sword, the only sword they would have would be what they pillage from the realm. Simply something you took from your enemy. But I don't believe that they will smith their own blades. I think there will be something like, yeah, javelins and like this, axes. Simple one like this, little ones that could be used as tools anywhere, at home, on the hunt, when you are pillaging and stuff like this. Simple. And some of you would say that you can't throw it. Well, yeah, right. You can throw an axe, but not sure at all if it's something that they would especially do. But yeah, if you have a spear, perhaps, yes, a little axe like this, you can perhaps throw it at your opponent, then use your spear. Why not? Why not? Different designs, same idea, and easy to produce. Perhaps you could also find a larger example like this one that could match what they could use as tools but also as weapons. So concerning blades, yes, I have one on myself. You saw this from the beginning. This could be an example of what you could find, I do believe, on someone that would be once again important, because yes, it's a blade and it's much harder to produce than just an axe. Yes, that could happen, but not very often actually. This, of course, you recognize is a Screamer's axe, and you use deer antler there for the handle. I do like the idea because once again it relates the Dulending to hunting, which would be something suitable for Civilization as I saw it. They won't have a lot of cattle like the Realm would have actually. What would be much more common would be something little, something like a knife there. Once again, it's mostly a tool, and that makes a lot of sense again, because you will have something like that much more handy for anything that you will do on the everyday life. A blade like a sword costs a freaking lot and won't be useful for many things. Screamer's axe as well, it will cost much more. So when you have scarce resources, concerning especially the iron, steel, that is a good choice. Another tool that will be, of course, in the equipment would be a bow, and this bow is very simple. It's just a simple piece of wood, a branch that have been thinned on both sides. You can still see the knots there on several places on the branch, and it's something very useful. You know this from the prehistorical ages, from our era. We always have used bows, so I don't see why they won't. Could be useful for hunting and for also warfare as well. For the arrows they will carry them in a quiver, I believe. A simple quiver like this here. This is simply made out of cowhide, and there's still the fur on it. It's good, it won't do the trick. It will be what we need, no more, no less. for the arrows themselves, well, the only thing I can relate is that the birds in Rohan are, for some of them, grey, because we know that in the book Tolkien precise that the arrows they use have grey fletching. So I use a grey fletching here, because, well, they are very neighbors, so I don't believe the color of the bird will change that much. So here you go with a grey fletching. So it's wrapped with something that will imitate the organic nerves. The same technique that I used for Rohan and the arrow I made for this character. We know in the book as well that the projectile used in Helm's Deep's battle, according to Legolas, are really of poor quality, what have been used toward the one defending Helm's Deep. So I don't believe that the arrows there will be of great quality. So it's a simple branch, quite straight, yes, but just a branch. And there is here the very first arrowhead I ever smith, which of course is far from being perfect. I have also several designed for the arrows, like the simple Tolkien head here, which is much better than the one I did, a bit messier. With here, see, perhaps the wrapping. I did the same here on the fletching with here you have part leather, and this arrow I have a design made for setting fire to something, especially if you have some roof that could be really flammable. That's something. So I do believe when you are to pillage place, yes, that could be a good option when some of the villagers are trying to manage the fire on some houses. You have much more time on your end to do the dirty job or to take whatever resources you are searching for when you are on this village. And for the end, what I believe would be the main weapon would be something like a spear, something really classical. See, the design here is not perfect, but it's fitting. And also I do believe they could adapt themselves to the main enemy they have, and those guys are riders, so why not create something like that? That could be effective. The hook and the spear head there. So for the spears, a design like this, as you can see, is very light. It's easy for me to just grab it by the opposite end there. Something like that could be used in one hand easily with a shield. So yes, I do believe it's a good option. Could be used also as a throwing spear because of its lightness. You can very easily throw it toward an opponent. Even if you just have one, just keep it. Don't be stupid. But you can have several like this. Several light spears that you could keep in your left hand, one or two, and throw them at your opponent, or perhaps could be used also as a hunting tool as well. Once again, makes sense. When you have few resources, well, if you can use tools for fight, well, you do this. So this use as a spear, like this. With several, you will have some in your hands and some other that you throw. And you can have, of course, the classical two-handed spear with probably a different design, but what will be more important, it's not like the head have to be bigger or whatever. No, it's that the handle this time will be bigger and will allow you to be at least at 2 meters from your opponent. Yeah, I do consider that this size is a bit short for a spear, which could be used as two-hand. It's something longer, like this. That gives you range. That you can use at a long distance from an opponent. Yes, here I do believe, yes, we have something that we can consider to be two-handed spear-like weapon. Well, as you see in the design, it's something that have, yes, a spearhead-like, but also a big hook here. The hook would be very useful because, of course, when you're fighting riders, you can use this to hook them and remove them from their horses. Yes, that's some of the obvious reasons, but also this hook would be very useful if you are fighting someone with a shield like this. Well, any shields, to be honest, yes, would be useful with any shield, but especially with a shield like this one. A shield like that with a hook coming from the back would be easy to make a turn on a side or another. If you just push, if you hook on one side, it's easy to open it. And if you work with a teammate, one could use the hook there to hook shields on the opponent, and the other can just stab in the opening that you just create. That could be very useful. And the same could be said also with axes. You can use your axe to hook one shield, and comrade aside with a spear could just see the opening and directly stab the opponent where you have created this opening. I hope you enjoyed the video and its content. Everything there is simply based on my research, my readings in the different books that have been written by Tolkien, and also, yes, it's based on what I know from history, because there is plenty of stuff in the books that make little winks to what could be the economic in each civilization, what could be their relation, and also take in consideration where they are on the map. Everything like that is enough to produce something really realistic for a fantasy world like Middle-earth. And it's not a problem to imagine fantasy in a realistic way, and this is what I've been doing so far, and I want to show you that it's important to do so, to make something believable. And I want to continue this with several other civilizations from Middle-earth. If you already know my work, well, you know that I made several costumes, both from the good guys and the bad guys, and I will continue this kind of video, not only on the costume but also on the fighting parts. So any requests from you, any suggestion, any questions, feel free to give them in the comments down below, and I'll see you later for more Middle-earth.